So suppose I want to know the percentage of out-of-state cars that travel a highway located near me. I decide to do an experiment where I drive down the road, I drive on the road at a medium to slow speed so that most of the cars pass me. As the cars pass, I record the number of out-of-state cars as a fraction over the number of cars. I express this as a fraction and a percent as a percent on my tally sheet. So suppose the first car was an in-state car. So I've got 0 out of 1, or 0%. Suppose the next car is an out-of-state car. Now I've got 1 out of 2, or 50%. The next car is an out-of-state car. Now I've got 2 out of 3, or 66%. The next car is an out-of-state car, or an in-state car. So now I've got 2 out of 2, 2 out of 4, or 50, back up to 50%. The next car is an in-state car. So I've got 3 out of 5, or 60%. Now I might have to start using a calculator. The next car is a out-of-state car also. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6. 4 out of 6, so I'm back up to 66%. Let's draw some more lines. So I continue, and suppose the next car is an in-state car. Okay, now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 7. Now it's time for me to use my calculator. So I take 4 out of 7, just take 4 divided by 7, and I get 0.57, so about 57%. Suppose the next car is an out-of-state car. Now I've got 5 out of 8. And that's pretty easy, but let's do it on a calculator too. 5 divided by 8 is 62.5%. I'll just call it 62%. The next one's an in-state car, out-of-state car. So that's 6 out of 9. I'm back up to 66%. The next car is an in-state car. So I'm 6 out of 10, or 60%. Next car is an out-of-state car, so I'm 7 out of 11. And 7 out of 11 is 63%. Next car is an out-of-state car, and I've got 8 out of 12, or I'm back up to 66%. Okay, now the question is this gradually going to settle down and quit going back and forth between, say, 0 and 50 and 60? It looks as though it's kind of settling in on somewhere in the 60%. How many cars would it take to get a pretty good estimate of what my percent of outstate and in-state cars actually is? And also another thing that I see is I see a relationship between my fractions and my percents. I see a relationship. I start to get a feel for what fractions are, what percents. It's going to be harder as I go on because my numbers are going to get bigger and my denominator numbers, so I'll have to use the calculator on almost every one of them unless they reduce nicely. Or until I get to 100 or 50, then I could do that. Okay, thank you. That's been a fun thing to do. This be a fun thing to do on the road, to see what percent of the cars in your roads are out-of-state cars. And if you wanted to find out what the in-state cars are, all you have to do is take 100% and subtract the 100 and subtract, say, the out of state, and then I'd have, this would be 34%. Forget that dot right there. So my in-state cars would be the percentage of the out-state cars I get away from 100%.